Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Patterson and Michael Remis.
Hey now, welcome to another edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Michael Remis here in the host chair for Hustler. Away on assignment today. He will be back in the host chair tomorrow, and I can see all the jokes already flying in chat. No, he's not missing the show because of the Chiefs' loss on Monday Night Football to the Jacksonville Jaguars yesterday. Well, I'm sure he'll be weighing in on that, but we've got a lot to get to. Connor Hrabchak's going to join me in a second. Talking about the Winnipeg Jets home opener Thursday. The NHL season does kick off today, this afternoon, actually. The defending two-time Stanley Cup champions host, that's the Florida Panthers, host the Chicago Blackhawks at 4 Central Time. Then we have Rangers, Penguins, and the Kings hosting the Avalanche. The Winnipeg Jets on the ice, the Blue Bombers practicing. They have a big game Saturday in Edmonton against the Elks at 6 p.m. Central Time. Got to keep pace there with BC, who's got a bye this week, but keeps winning. And the Bombers do hold that important tiebreaker over the BC Lions. So we've got a great show coming up. As I said, Connor will join me. I'm going to be joined by Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff. We're going to preview the NHL season, talk about the big McDavid contract yesterday and his picks for the year. Chiefs hater Jamie Thomas of WinnipegJets.com going to join me, talk about the Winnipeg Jets upcoming season and playoffs. And I'll be joined by Manitoba Moose head coach Mark Morrison. They're expecting a bounce-back season. Excited for that. Taylor Allen of the Winnipeg Free Press on the Bombers, and a special conversation with Hustler and Alex Campbell. He was a player now, but now he's assistant GM and assistant coach with the Winnipeg Sea Bears. That's CEBL legend Alex Campbell. So a lot to get to. And hey, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now with the help of our sponsors. Shout out to the Winnipeg Jets, the WST ticket pack now available, HSC Home Lottery, Rollies Transfer, St. Vital Dental, Canadian Club, Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba Battery, Fans First, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Breezy Bend, Cineboy Downs. This is like the final days here of live racing. And of course, Cool Bet. And you missed want some more NHL preview content before the start of the season, check out WST Winners preview with Hustler, Pat, and Jake making their picks. And at the end of the show yesterday, Hustler, Connor, and I gave our Winnipeg Jets predictions. And CFL 110, usually today, it'll be tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. on a live stream. Hustler and Jeff Hamilton of the Winnipeg Free Press. And pleased to be joined right now, fresh out of practice, Connor Hrabchak. Connor, so the day is here. We finally have, after discussing who is going to be on, who is going to be off, the Winnipeg Jets roster. As I bring you on here, there it is. As I bring you in, Connor, what's going on? Thanks for coming on. Great talking to you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I ripped home from the rink quickly, or as quickly as I could today to get on the show. But yeah, hockey's back tonight. I'm super excited for that. I mean, the opening night slate, there's definitely been better opening night slates in years past, but still excited. It's hockey nonetheless. And big Jays game tonight as they're in New York for game 3. Shane Bieber on the mound. It's a great time of the sports calendar. The Chiefs lost last night. Smiles all around from me.
Yes, smiles on. Yes, I didn't even mention the Jays game. My team, Seattle, playing at 3, so I'm going to try to get out of this show on time so I can catch that. And I am seeing a lot of the jokes. Are we on Connor contract watch? We saw McDavid sign yesterday. A lot of jokes in chat being made that Hustler driving down to a grocery store in Target to do a TikTok on the announcement.
Yeah, we are on Kyle Connor contract watch. I think so. And by all accounts, the Jets and Kyle Connor are going to want to get this done before the season starts, or at least from the Jets side of things. So the season starts for the Winnipeg Jets in 2 days. The NHL season begins tonight. You see Connor McDavid signing, Kirill Kaprizov. Now that McDavid's signed, does it maybe change the market at all? Do they have to renegotiate the deal at all with that? I don't think so. But we absolutely are on Kyle Connor contract watch, because we did talk about all training camp long, what was everyone's panic point? What was the moment? What was the time that everyone was going to start panicking? And, Mike McIntyre, Hustler, lots of people on this show mentioned opening night. If it's not done by then, well, then it becomes a big story. And we're 2 days away from opening night, as we know.
2 days away, so we are on Kyle Connor contract watch, but we were also on opening night roster watch, and the Winnipeg Jets putting it out today. The opening night roster, and a bit of a surprise when it came out, Connor, that Jonathan Toews, he's on there, but he's got a little symbol there beside his name. And you look at this thing here, it says injured non-roster. And there was wondering, okay, would Jonathan Toews be on that opening night roster? Well, how could he be if he's injured non-roster? And looking at the other players on, Chibrikov on, Parker Ford on, David Gustafsson on, and Brad Lambert on. So that was the biggest surprise. But then you go to the skate, Connor, and you were there at Canada Life Center, and there's Jonathan Toews skating in a regular jersey in his spot on line 2 with Nikita Chibrikov and Gus Nyquist. What is happening here with Jonathan Toews' injury? We know he was a little banged up during preseason. Is he fine? Is he going to play? Is he injured?
Yeah, it's a great question, Remo, and it's one that a lot of people want the answer to. I was down at Canada Life Center today, and Jonathan Toews practiced in full. He's wearing his normal colored jersey. He's not wearing a non-contact. He's skating on the second line with Gustav Nyquist and Nikita Chibrikov, and looks great. Looks like he's moving around well, is on the second power play as well. So just the eye test, Jonathan Toews looks like he's a guy that's ready to play on Thursday night. Then we went and talked to Scott Arniel after, and he kind of alluded to how putting Toews on injured reserve, and he does still believe that he's day-to-day is the update from Scott Arniel. This kind of buys them a little bit of time. And it's important to note that he wasn't put on injured reserve. It was the injured non-roster that you brought up there, Remis. And that makes it so that there's no 7-day minimum. So usually when players get placed on injured reserve, they're out for 7 days, or it's retroactive to their last game played, and it's 7 days from that point. But injured non-roster, there's no minimum time missed for that. So what I see this as is Jonathan Toews is going to be ready to go. They're maybe expecting him. They didn't say that they're expecting him to play, yes or no. Scott Arniel said, I'm hoping so. He remains day to day. The way I read this, I think Jonathan Toews, the plan is for him to play on Thursday. He'll be good to go. And this just buys the Jets a couple extra days here, just in case something comes up in practice for Jonathan Toews and they don't send Brad Lambert down and then have to call him back up, despite him, being able to clear waivers as many times as possible. So that's how I read this situation. The injured non-roster makes it so that there's no 7-day minimum. Jonathan Toews looked great at practice, and I'm expecting him to play on Thursday. But the update from Scott Arniel is day-to-day, and we'll see on Thursday night.
We'll wait and see. We'll be there with our group in section 316. Excited for the extended player intros, toque giveaway, the banners being unveiled, President's Trophy, and the Jennings being in the house as well. So make sure you get there early if you're going. You can get your picture taken with all those. As for the lines, this is what they've been working with here for the last bit. Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Chibrikov, Toews, Nyquist, Niederreiter, Nemesnikov, Iafallo, Pearson, Barron, Koepke, and on defense, Morrissey, DeMello, Fleury, Pionk, Stanley, Shen, and Colin Miller as the extra D. And for a preseason that was, as far as injuries goes, didn't go well with Dylan Samberg being injured, Cole Perfetti being injured, and Jonathan Toews getting banged up and having to be put on injured non-roster ahead of the opening game. Finally, the preseason is over. We have lines, and we'll have regular season action on Thursday. It is the U.S. opening of the season today with the 3 games, and tomorrow is the Wednesday night hockey, Sportsnet opening, and we will be getting the Jets TSN Thursday opening. So very exciting time, and there's no surprises here though with the line.
No, and I didn't list them there, but the extras on forward were Ford, Lambert, and Gustafson. So if you want to throw kind of a fifth line in there, that's what the Winnipeg Jets were running. And then, Jonathan Toews, like I said, skated in his regular spot on that second line alongside Nyquist and Chibrikov. That's another sign that the Jets are at least expecting him to be good to go for Thursday. If Jonathan Toews was practicing in full today and the line rushes came through and it was Nemestikov on the second line and Toews was maybe with the extras, then maybe they'd slow play this a little bit more. But Toews was a full participant, skated on the second line. Like I said, I'm expecting him to play. It seems like a guy who's ready to play in terms of how they're handling this. I'm really excited. We spoke to Gustav Nyquist today down at the rink. He said that he's starting to build some chemistry with these players. He likes what Nikita Chibrikov can bring to the lineup. So I'm excited to see what Nyquist can bring on that second line as they kind of mitigate the loss of Cole Perfetti, or at least try to. And then after, I asked Scott Arniel, what is it about Hayden Fleury that, warrants him being on the second pair and has impressed him in this camp? And he loves his skating. He talked about how he can bail his partner out of trouble by skating the puck up the ice. And that's why he's getting that promotion to the second line, or the second defense pairing, I should say, alongside Neil Pionk. So a lot of question marks, a lot of injuries with this lineup. But the Jets are going to try their best to mitigate the losses, tread water here as they try and get healthy through a very condensed schedule to start the season as well. And it all starts Thursday against Dallas.
Yeah, we'll see how it is for Thursday, and the extras on forward: Lambert, Ford, and Gustafson. And you noted on the power play, Connor, Alex Iafallo stepping in there with Cole Perfetti out, Scheifele, Connor Velarde, Iafallo, and Morrissey. And on power play 2, Toews, Nemestikov, Niederreiter, Nyquist, Pionk. Going to be tough for the Jets to live up, to last season's President's Trophy, but also the power play, which was the number 1 power play in the NHL. What have you seen from the power play in practice?
Yeah, the power play, they did do a lot of special teams work today, and you see the units there. I asked Scott Arniel after the practice as well about Alex Iafallo stepping up to that first power play. What can he bring? And he said the biggest thing is that Iafallo's done it before. He's good in that. Scott Arniel said bumper and then corrected himself and said pop position, which is kind of in the middle of the ice there. Alex Iafallo is a great puck retriever. That's something that Scott Arniel brought up as well. The Jets are really good on their entries, but if they ever lose the puck, you got to get it back. You got to have guys on it. And he likes Alex Iafallo in that role. And he called him the ultimate Swiss Army knife in terms of he can be down low. He can make the extra pass. He can be in the pop position. He can get the puck back. So that's why Scott Arniel thinks that Alex Iafallo is the right guy to step up to the first power play. And again, if we see that unit struggle, maybe we see Jonathan Toews move up there, or they're losing every faceoff, they'll put a guy like Toews up there. But that second unit also looked really good in practice with Nyquist on the half wall, Pionk shooting from the point, and guys like Niederreiter and Nemestikov getting sticks on it, Toews being at the front of the net, jamming away rebounds as well. So a lot of special teams work today, and I think the Jets' power play will ultimately be okay without Cole Perfetti to start the first couple of weeks. Obviously, that's a huge loss for the unit, but I think that Alex Iafallo can fill in at that pop position, be good on puck retrievals. They can be good on entries. Maybe Kyle Connor can snap his power play goal scoring drought dating back to last December, and this unit can get off to a hot start this year.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to live up to the hot start of last year. Man, were Jets fans spoiled with that performance. Pretty incredible, and we're all looking at hopes and expectations for the season. We talked about the Winnipeg Jets over-under point totals at Coolbet at 99.5, and the Athletic has their official NHL projected standings, and I trust Dom's model here, Connor. And look, he's got the Winnipeg Jets projected for 99.7 points, so 78.3% chance to make the playoffs. 40.6% in the division final, 20.4% for the conference final, and a nice 10.5% chance to be in the Stanley Cup final. So while you say, they've lost Ehlers, but you've gained Nyquist and Toews, you still have Connor Hellebuyck, you still have Scheifele and Connor. Morrissey. Very solid foundation here for a team that is expected to make the playoffs.
For sure. And one thing that we've talked about is the depth of this team and how they've lost a lot to injury already. And we knew they'd be without Adam Lowry for a couple of weeks, but then you add in Samberg and Perfetti, and you start looking at the lineup and it's losing a lot of firepower, no doubt. But it also their depth does kind of stand out, where if you start putting those players back into the lineup, when that'll happen in November, mid-November into December, the Jets are a really deep group. They're a really deep group up front and on the back end. And like I said yesterday, even with the injuries, if they can tread water these first couple of weeks, I see them being right around that 100-point total there, fighting in the Central. The most interesting thing I found in terms of a Central Division perspective, Remo, from that chart was that Dom actually had the Colorado Avalanche winning the division over the Dallas Stars. I said yesterday that I'm a big believer in the Dallas Stars. They're an incredibly deep group. Their top 9 is incredible. But there you see it. Dom has the Colorado Avalanche at 105 points and the Dallas Stars at 103. So I could see Colorado doing it as well. I mean, they brought back Brock Nelson. He was their trade deadline acquisition, and they signed him and kept him around. And Landeskog's coming back, and they have McCarr and McKinnon, and Mackenzie Blackwood, if healthy, is a really strong starting goalie. So I could see Colorado being in the mix as well. But the Jets, Stars, and Avs all being within 5 points is, I think, right around what we all expect for the Central Division this year. It's going to be competitive as always.
Yeah, going to be very tight. I think St. Louis could be a factor as well. We saw how good they were in the playoffs. Minnesota's looking to get back in the playoffs. Health could be a concern there for Kirill Kaprizov, who they just re-signed in Utah. Will they be taking a jump forward this season, acquiring J.J. Peterka, being in Utah, having a regular offseason where you're not moving, getting everything, and they got this new beautiful practice facility there. So I'm curious about you. They got the name now, Mammoth.
The logo.
Although there's,
nice.
I believe there's a Mammoth company that is upset about that. So the Central, I think it's going to be very challenging. And this season, how will the Jets, defend their President's Trophy? It all gets going for them on Thursday. On the other side of the city, the Blue Bombers returning to practice after the bye week. Derek Taylor noting on X, no Nick Dembski today, but checking his Instagram, might be time for a new baby for the Dembski family. So Joey Corcoran working in his spot. Patty Neufeld back at practice, had yesterday off as a vet day. And Jareth Stearns making catches across the middle. He was out, missed a couple games there after that big hit. But the Bombers back from a bye. And I don't know if this is must-win territory for the Bombers, but if you want to host a playoff game, you would like to win this one over Edmonton, although Calgary at 8-7, seemingly in free fall, with Vernon Adams telling the media that he doesn't have any confidence. The Bombers do have an opportunity with a win to put themselves in position to get second place in the West and host a home playoff game.
Yeah, it's a big game for sure. And you might look at, Edmonton at 6-9 and not think that it's a really big game, but the Bombers looking to jockey for position in the West. I mean, I think we're all expecting Saskatchewan to clinch the 1 seed eventually and get that West final home game. But the Bombers are absolutely in play for the other home game, the semifinal, if you will, against one of Calgary or BC. So this is a big game to kind of keep pace in the West with BC that's really picking up steam as of late. And I know we'll get into the cool bet lines later, Remo, but I talked to you and Huss yesterday. I'm shocked that the Calgary Stampeders are plus 470 to win the Grey Cup over at Coolbet and the futures. BC's plus 500 and the Bombers are plus 1300. I mean, I don't have any confidence in Calgary over the other two teams that I mentioned that are at longer shots in the West there. And yes, maybe the path has a little bit to do with that. Maybe they're expecting Calgary to cross over now that they're in free fall. There will be a West crossover. Edmonton is still in play for that, especially if Calgary keeps losing. But Calgary's been bad for a month now, like straight up. Like they won against Edmonton on the Labor Day weekend. Then they lost to Edmonton. They've gotten blown out by BC twice. They got blown out by Montreal on the road. They just haven't been good for a month. And they're 8-7 now, and they were definitely the best team in the CFL when they were 5-0 against the Riders and the Bombers in June and July. But we're a long way from that. And the BC or excuse me, Calgary over the past month has been arguably the fourth or even fifth best team in the West.
Yeah, I think you look at the season, it's over 20 weeks, and it's you don't want to get too fired up early about how a team's performing after 5. You look at the last 4, as you said last month, Calgary on a 4-game losing streak. They lost 38-24 to BC, 38-20 to Montreal. They got 52-23 to BC and got booed off the field at home, and they lost to Edmonton, who's been great since putting in Cody Fajardo, 31-19. So the defense giving up a ton of points. As I said, Vernon Adams told the media confidence is low. Big one for them to keep pace here in the West. They're at Hamilton on Saturday, with the Bombers being the later game. Schedule this week, Toronto at Saskatchewan, Friday at 8. Toronto eliminated from the playoffs, and they did cut Cameron Dukes, the quarterback. Curious what's going to happen with him. And then the 2 games Saturday, Calgary at Hamilton, Winnipeg at Edmonton. And Monday, Thanksgiving game, Ottawa at Montreal. So we'll stay tuned more with what's going on with the Bombers. Taylor Allen will join me. Before we get into my next guest, Matt Larkin, got to mention the WST ticket pack. It's out. People have been asking, when is it going to come out? Out now, winnipegjets.com/WST. We've got 6 great games. Pick and choose the one you want to attend. The first game is Thursday, the home opener. That one sold out. We don't have any more tickets. Shout out to everyone who hopped on that. If you buy a ticket, you get a drink voucher as well. Early entry. We're going to have a nice gathering at the arena before the game. The other one after that, the Carolina game, the Friday, Nikolai Ehlers return to Winnipeg. We will all be there. So winnipegjets.com/WST and join us for any of the 6 games this year. We went 6-0 last year. Can we do it again? Gonna be tough. We're going Thursday, October 9, sold out, and then November 21, the Friday against Carolina. We'll get to Matt Larkin in a second, but first, here's something from Hustler.
Midnight Thursday is the next deadline in the HSC Millionaire Lottery. You want to make sure that you're in for all the incredible prizes, including the super bonus, which will include $55,000 cash, or maybe a suite for a Jet game, food and beverage, a $25 Indigeno travel voucher, and $20K. It is all part of the super bonus that is available right now. But you got to get your tickets by Thursday night at midnight. 4 winners of gas and groceries from Red River Co-op. Go to hscmillionaire.com or your local Red River Co-op or London Drugs location if you want to buy your tickets in person. You'll be eligible for all the incredible early bird prizes and, of course, the grand prize, Manitoba's newest millionaire, one of 5 dream home packages worth $1.5 million or $1.25 million cash.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be watching.
We're hours away here from the start of the 25-26 season. We have the baseball as well. What a great time of year. Everyone putting in their final touches on predictions and previews. And very pleased right now to be joined by Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff. You can follow him on X, @MLarkin Hockey, and he joins me right now. Matt, how's it going? An exciting day here. Regular season starts. How you doing?
Michael, my friend, it's great to see you and very excited. And, I was making a joke how if you ever watch the Bachelor franchise, which I do sometimes, they always say every season is the most exciting season ever. It's kind of a running joke, but I kind of feel that way about the NHL this year. There's just so many narratives. We have the Olympics. It feels like one of the most genuinely anticipated seasons in a long time. So I'm pumped.
I'm pumped too, man. And I think one of the reasons why it's so highly anticipated as well, you've seen so many contracts sign over the last couple of weeks, and your eyes kind of pop out of your head when you see the dollar amounts handed out. And one of the biggest storylines heading in is the number of UFAs or players heading into the final year. Kyle Connor, Jack Eichel, Adrian Kempe. We had the Kaprizov contract, and we're wondering about Connor McDavid. And our eyes were popping out of our head at the AAV yesterday, but for a different reason. 12.5. What did you think when you saw McDavid extend for 2 years with the Oilers? That was this time yesterday.
Yeah, I'm simultaneously surprised and not surprised. I'm not surprised that it was short term. I think that was sort of the rumored thing over the last few weeks, that he wanted to extend the runway a little bit and see if the Oilers can get over the hump, but without committing for 8 years. And I did expect him to take less money. Sidney Crosby set that precedent by taking that 8.7 AAV over and over, winning. That said, I didn't think it was going to be that low, 12.5. That is pretty eye-popping, especially when you factor in the salary cap's going to keep going up to 104, then I think it's 113 and a half. So $12.5 million, that's going to go a long way. And you look at next summer, the Oilers have roughly $22 million in cap space. Still have to figure out if they're going to re-sign Matthias Ekholm, but that's going to give them room with McDavid in at such a low number. They can actually add to this group. So I think he is really showing that winning truly matters to him.
He thought he'd be similar to Leon Draisaitl's $14 million. And I don't know, did this change at all your outlook for the Oilers this season? Do you see a return back to the Cup final for them, or how are they positioned now for the next 2 years and this McDavid window?
Yeah, I don't know if it changes my outlook for this season, because I think the Oilers, they really did lose a lot of depth, whether it's Corey Perry and Jeff Skinner, Evander Kane, Connor Brown. Like you can really rhyme off almost their entire bottom six. And they're in a situation where you're kind of forced to project that Matt Savoy is going to be ready. He did look great in the preseason. Someone like Ike Howard, who had never played any pro hockey in the AHL, let alone the NHL, he's going to be able to contribute at some point as well. So a lot of projection, and this team is the most top heavy it's been in a long time. So I would say the Oilers are more likely to take a step back this year, but now with McDavid in at that great number, you can reload. And I think the next 2 years in that extension, right? The 2 years of that extension, that's when you're going to be able to take a bigger run as the Oilers, especially if you look at that free agent class. You have $22 million. Now it's like, okay, can you take a run at Kyle Connor? Can you try and bring in, I don't know, I want to say Artemi Panarin, though he might not want to go back with Stan Bowman. Do you try to trade for someone like Philip Forsberg? I don't know. There are a bunch of different options. Maybe the Oilers consider trying to upgrade once and for all in net. Do you trade for UC Saros? Do you try to bring in Ilya Sorokin via trade? I think just the avenues that his low number opens up, I think it increases the possibility of the Oilers making another deep run. I just don't know if it's going to be this year.
Whoa, go for Kyle Connor, Matt. This is a Winnipeg show. You're trying to, you already took it to everyone back in February when you didn't have Morrissey on your Four Nations roster. Now you're throwing out stuff like that here. Well, we'll move it over to the Jets. Amazing season last year, historic season, winning the President's Trophy. How do you feel about the Jets coming in, losing Nikolai Ehlers, adding Jonathan Toews, Gus Nyquist? Bit of a rough preseason with the injuries already, though, to Dylan Samberg and Cole Perfetti.
Yeah, I'd say I feel okay. I'm not part of the sky is falling brigade. And, we have our predictions for the Jets that came out today on Daily Faceoff, and we have a lot of people putting them down in third, fourth in the division, fighting for the wild card. I have them second still. I don't think they're a President's Trophy winning team again this year. I think just if you look at what they did in the offseason, you remove Nick Ehlers from the equation, and their main replacements, like you said, are Gustav Nyquist and Jonathan Toews. That math ain't mathing. You're not a better team in that scenario. Now you factor in Adam Lowry's out, Jonathan Toews already nicked up, and that's concerning because his body has not been in NHL action for a couple years, and he's already having a hard time physically getting through even the preseason. So to me, that's a big red flag, unfortunately. And Cole Perfetti, that's the one that disappoints me the most. Of course, Dylan Samberg too. But Perfetti, this was a big opportunity for him to step up and become that frontline player. Obviously, he had flashes in the playoffs, came up in the clutch in a big way. And I think they really needed him, especially with their injuries and with losing Ehlers, to be a primo player early on. And now to be starting the season without him, that really hurts. And it's tough because you look at that roster. This is a worse team than last year. You still have Connor Hrabchak. You still have Josh Morrissey. You still have Mark Scheifele. You still have Kyle Connor for now. So that core is going to be fine. The Jets are still going to be a very competitive team. They're going to be an above average team. But are they going to be fighting for the division title? I don't know, because I think they're going to be more likely to start slowly unless you get some surprise help from within. Maybe someone like Nikita Chibrikov is a surprise early on. That's what you need. You need someone to step up unexpectedly at this point.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens there with Chibrikov on that second line to start the season. You still have the Jets in the playoffs there as an upper part of the Central Division, or more in that wild card mix in the Western Conference?
So if you go to Daily Faceoff right now, we have a chart with 10 different staffers projections, and I believe I'm the only one that has Winnipeg in the top 2. So they won the President's Trophy. Not one of us picked them to finish first. Everyone other than me, if I'm remembering correctly, had them 3rd or 4th. But hey, I have more faith than most. I still have them number 2. I have Dallas number 1, but I have the Jets number 2.
Oh, nicely done. We can take that here. The chat is giving their approval, but circling from the Jets to the other Canadian teams, which Canadian team has the most pressure on them heading into this season?
Well, that's a great question. I think it would have been the Oilers if McDavid hadn't signed. Now that he's signed, I think it does reduce the pressure a little bit. You could argue it's the Toronto Maple Leafs because there's always pressure. But at the same time, I think expectations might be more realistic. You remove Mitch Marner from the equation. That's a 102-point scorer, an elite defensive player. He led the NHL in takeaways over the past 5 seasons, and he was 7th in scoring over the past 5 seasons. So that kind of gives you a perspective on how impactful he was. Yes, he struggled in clutch situations really badly, especially game 5, 6, 7 of series in the playoffs. But Marner was a key reason why the Leafs got to the playoffs 9 years in a row, longest active streak in the NHL. And he's a key reason why they won the division title. So if you factor in that Marner's out and the Leafs, yes, they've tried to replace him in the aggregate, but I don't think many people expect them to be as good as last year. So I would argue that it actually reduces the pressure a tiny bit. I still think there's pressure on Winnipeg because if you have Kyle Connor entering the final year of his deal, and you have Mark Scheifele, you have Connor Hrabchak, these guys are now on the wrong side of 30. I think there's an understanding that the window is starting to close. It's getting closer to shutting, especially because Winnipeg's been so competitive the past couple of years. So I think in terms of pressure, those are the top 3. It's debatable which of the 3 are under the most pressure. But really, there are a lot of Canadian teams that are in situations where they're expected to be competitive. Calgary tied for the last playoff spot. Montreal broke through and made it. Ottawa broke through and made it last year. And the Vancouver Canucks, they're hoping to return to relevance this year because they want to show Quinn Hughes that Vancouver is somewhere that he should stay long term, right? So I'd say more so than any season in recent memory, all 7 Canadian markets have fairly high expectations right now.
Yeah, I do wonder how many of these Canadian teams do make it in. One team that wasn't in last year that you have finishing 2nd in the Atlantic Division is the Montreal Canadiens. Why are you so high on them this season?
Well, I know a lot of people look at their depth chart and they worry that Montreal has no second line center. Fair enough. And we don't know if it's going to be Kapanen, and that's what it appears to be to start the year. But what I see is a team that was good enough to make the playoffs last year. They got in near the end of the season, and they added Noah Dobson to that equation. Even if you're not the biggest Noah Dobson fan, you're still adding a top pair caliber defenseman who's good at both ends of the ice. That's going to be very impactful. You're going to get a full season of Ivan Demidov, who most people believe is the Calder Trophy favorite. I think he's a really special talent. Skill set wise, I'd say the closest comparison is Nikita Kucherov in terms of what the ceiling could be, in terms of just how cerebral he is, smart with the puck, the small little feints, and just everything he can do is sort of magic with the puck, right? So I think those factors alone, just Demidov, Dobson, and you add that to a team that was already good enough to make the playoffs last year, I think the Habs have quite a high ceiling. And I think this might be the year that they overtake the Leafs, who I think are going to take a step back. And of course, the Florida Panthers too, because of their injuries, I think will take a step back too.
Yeah, I'm looking at, you got the predictions here at Daily Faceoff. The Florida Panthers, 4th into the division for you. Looking around the league, we always like to pick, that team that was out of the playoffs last year that has a chance to get in. Looking through your bold predictions, got Utah, Columbus, and Anaheim taking a step forward. Which of those teams excites you the most right now?
I'd say long term, it's hard not to be excited about the Anaheim Ducks just with the nucleus of young players they have. They've extended Mason McTavish, Leo Carlsson, Cutter Gauthier. All 3 of those guys were among the best scorers in the NHL last year after the Four Nations face-off break. Jackson Lacombe is maturing into a legit number one, and now you have Joel Quenneville coming to town to coach this team. He did the same thing 2008. He took over a Chicago team that was sputtering but had a lot of young talent, and they broke through and made the playoffs. I think Lacombe can be his Duncan Keith in terms of how we can expect to see Lacombe used at all situations, playing a ton of minutes. You have Beckett Seneca, who made the team as well. I don't know if he's going to stick, but that's another high-end prospect, major upside. You brought in Chris Kreider and Kyle Granlund. So to me, the Ducks, they were already the most improved team in the league last year by 21 points. It was largely because of goaltending, but I think their additions and their progression of the kids, it's going to offset that. I think the Ducks are going to be like a 95-point team this year, knocking on the door of the playoffs. But Utah is the team I actually think is going to break through. They went from 77 to 89 points. You add Nate Schmidt, you add Brandon Tanev to the equation as well. You add JJ Peterka, right? So you've made some significant upgrades to a team that was already on the rise. And you have some really exciting young players in Logan Cooley, Dylan Genther, who are developing. You have Clayton Keller in the middle of his prime, playing at the highest level he's ever played at. So I think that Utah is going to be the big riser this year, and they're going to snatch a playoff spot. I would also watch out for Columbus, though. They were so close last year. I think Adam Fantilli is going to break through as a star caliber player this year.
Yeah, looking at the favorites here, got your cup prediction, Carolina over Vegas, still standing by that one. And why should we believe Carolina can get over the hump? As they've struggled to, they've been able to get to the conference final, but struggled to take on the stronger Atlantic Division.
Well, I think that at first glance, the Carolina Hurricanes are the same old Hurricanes, which is dominant defensive team. They're amazing in puck possession. They all play the similar style under Rod Brindamore. They have questions in net, and they can't get the real marquee go-to scorer who lifts them past other teams in the playoffs. They always lose to a team that has that superstar power. And I agree, if you just take a quick look at them, it looks like the same team. But you've added Nick Ehlers to the equation. Ehlers is one of the most as you Jets fans know, one of the most efficient scorers of this generation, but he's playing 16 minutes, 15 minutes a night. And he, to me, is probably an 80-point player who's been masquerading for much of his career as a 60-point guy because he never got the opportunities. He's immediately put onto the first line in Carolina. He is going to get those opportunities. Plus, you have Seth Jarvis, only 23 years old, who broke out better than a point per game in the second half last year. You have Logan Stankoven getting a chance to center the second line, another player with a high ceiling. You have one of the most exciting rookies in the league, Alexander Nikishin, coming into play in the top four on that D-core. So if you look at the expected progression of some of the young players plus the addition of Ehlers, I actually think this team's improved a lot. You also added Keandre Miller to that D-core as well. So I think they've elevated the ceiling. They also still have cap space to make another big addition during the year if they want to. So Carolina, to me, highest ceiling of any team in the Eastern Conference.
And how about in the West? You almost take for granted, like, just putting Vegas at the top every year. Mitch Marner is going to be a nice add. We did just hear today, Pietrangelo, he's not going to play this season. It does give them room to add someone. So what do you think we'll see from Vegas this year?
Yeah, I think it's crucial that they know they don't have him for the entire year because, of course, we have the LTIR loophole rule changing for the playoffs. So teams will no longer be able to just parachute a player in for game one. They're going to have to be cap compliant during the postseason. So Vegas is one of the best teams at manipulating those rules in the past. Tampa Bay, of course, did it. Florida, there's so many teams that were able to do it, right? But I do think it will be interesting to see if a team like Vegas is as good at making their upgrades as we get close to the playoffs. But at the same time, this is a first place team. They won the division last year. And then you add a two-time first-team All-Star 102-point scorer to a first-place team. So to me, I don't think there's much of an argument that Vegas is the class of the Western Conference. And yes, they're going to be doing it without Pietrangelo, but I still think that D-core is pretty strong, and we could see them make an addition during the year as well.
Vegas, always a team to keep an eye on. We've talked about good teams, upstart teams, but we haven't talked about teams that are going to be disappointing. Which team out there do you see who might fall short of expectations?
I think, I have them in the playoffs barely, but I am feeling bearish on the Los Angeles Kings this year. If you look at what their identity was the last couple of years, it was elite defensive team that really struggled to finish. So what did they do this offseason? They didn't add anyone who can score, and they made their defense way worse. They lost Vladislav Gavrikov, one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league. They did what I call subtraction by addition, bringing in Cody Ceci, who is consistently one of the least reliable defenders in my mind in the NHL. You've added Brian Dumlin, you've added Joel Edmondson last year as well. So just if you zoom out, this team is getting older and slower on defense. I don't think their calling card, which was elite defense, is going to be as good this year. And they didn't add offense. So I like the Kings to regress, maybe be fighting for that wild card. They're a team to me that could be a disappointment. I think some people, I noticed in our predictions on Daily Faceoff, I was surprised at how many people have the New York Rangers making the playoffs. I think that's a vote of confidence from Mike Sullivan. But my theory with the Rangers is I don't think they are hell-bent on making the playoffs this year. You have Artemi Panarin, whose contract is expiring. And you have a loaded free agent class, even with Kaprizov and McDavid off the board. There's still plenty of great players to throw money at. I think the Rangers, they have a bunch of picks already in the draft, the first round. They could trade Panarin if they struggle, and they could load up at the draft and in the summer. So I predict the Rangers are going to take a step back, not forward under Sullivan. And I think Sullivan was hired more with a long-term mindset of, okay, this is going to be the guy who shepherds our next generation. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the Rangers as a team that got better at all. You even gave away some pieces, right? You got rid of Keandre Miller. You got rid of Chris Kreider. I don't think they're a better team at all going into this season.
Yeah, and the Rangers kicking off the season today against Pittsburgh. Now, you mentioned in your articles at Daily Faceoff, we're seeing a bit of a changing of the guard. Crosby, Ovechkin, entering 20-plus seasons here. Winding it down, Matthews, McDavid getting into their 30s. Which players do you have an eye on to be the face of the NHL? Maybe not this year, but on the way to being that in a couple seasons.
Well, I mentioned Ivan Demidov. I think he's a really special player. I think Matthew Schaefer, picked first overall at the New York Islanders, also has potential to be a generationally great player. But we have to keep a very close eye on Gavin McKenna as well, who is just posting insane video game numbers. And it's funny, like I make the joke that the Pittsburgh Penguins, there's an ancient scroll that indicates that every 21 years they win the draft lottery. Mario Lemieux, 1984, Sidney Crosby, 2005, 2026 would be Gavin McKenna. So I have foreseen it. That, like, I just feel like it's what it is written, right? And I could see McKenna taking the torch and becoming the next Penguins icon. I think that we've started sleeping a little bit on Connor Bedard. And I did talk to him a few weeks ago at the NHL Player Media Tour. And I mentioned to him, hey, do you ever draw inspiration from Nathan MacKinnon, who is a Hall of Famer now, superstar? But MacKinnon, after 4 seasons, was looking like a bust. He won the Calder just like Bedard, and then he was struggling to break through. And then he finally did, right? So, and then Bedard did say, MacKinnon is a good reminder that not every superstar's career starts immediately with domination. So I was struck by that comment, the maturity of it, but also just the way Bedard was carrying himself this summer. I thought he seemed like someone much more comfortable in his own skin. And it just gave me the vibe like, okay, maybe we've kind of forgotten about him a little bit too much. Macklin Celebrini stole our attention last year too, but Bedard could still absolutely become the face of the league, and I wouldn't bet against it.
Perfect, Matt. Well, it's been great talking to you about the upcoming season. If you want to let everyone know, where can they see your work? Like I said, Daily Faceoff.
Yeah, it's dailyfaceoff.com. That is where you can find tons of preview coverage from us right now. Preview for all 32 teams is available. We have predictions. We have standing predictions, award predictions, bold predictions. We have the top 300 fantasy. We have lots of prospect stuff from Stephen Ellis in terms of which rookies to keep an eye on this year, call the trophy candidates. And we're just rolling it out like crazy this week. It's a wild week at Daily Faceoff, and I hope you come and take a look.
Got a move coming up this fall. Holler at our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the experts in the business, the most trusted name in moving for over 60 years in Manitoba. Check out their website at rollys.com for all of their services and more on their story. But click on that request an estimate in the top right corner and put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies for Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners. And then let them know when you're planning on moving, where you're going to, and what you will be moving, and the friendly staff at Rolly's will turn it around real quick and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they are famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, lean on the gang at Rolly's, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. Find out more, request an estimate today over at rollys.com. Well, the kids are back in school. We're moving into fall, but Have you forgot to see the dentist lately? Hey, listen, if you or your family need a new spot to go in to take care of all your dental needs, head on down to our friends at St. Vital Dental Center. Dr. Terry and his wonderful staff would love to take care of you, as they've been doing for generations of Manitobans, serving clients from 6 months to 99 plus with a full array of dental services, from cleanings and checkups all the way to procedures like dental implants. They do it all with a smile on their face, and they'll make your smile look better than ever before. Beautiful new facility, 167 St. Anne's Road, convenient free parking right behind the building. Find out more online and make an appointment at stvitaldental.ca. And make sure to tell them your boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And hey, Bomber fans, there's still time to get your hands on that special edition, limited edition Blue Bomber label Canadian Club. Of course, Canadian Club is the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the iconic Canadian whiskey since 1858. As the official spirit of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, they've got a special Blue Bomber bottle that is on shelves now at your local Manitoba liquor marts while supplies last. And while you're there, make sure to keep your eye out for the Canadian Club Club Pack, because we've got a little bit of more summery weather. Why not get the best drinks from the summer? The Canadian Club and Ginger Ale, the Citrus Smash, the Half and Half, all available in the Canadian Club Club Pack, along with the special edition Bomber bottle of Canadian Club at your local Manitoba liquor marts.
There's a great conversation with Matt Larkin of Daily Faceoff, teeing up just general NHL, surprise teams, breakout players, thoughts on the Jets. Everyone triggered in chat at the suggestion that Kyle Connor wouldn't resign. Matt doing his best to troll the chat. But one guy, I don't think he's here to troll the chat. He's here to have a good time. Pleased to be joined by noted Chiefs hater Jamie Thomas of Jets TV, WinnipegJets.com, Ground Control Podcast. Jamie, can you believe Hustler? The Chiefs lose to the Jags on Monday Night Football. The Jags hadn't beat the Chiefs since 2009, and the guy doesn't even want to show up to work the next day.
Okay, so first off, how old are you that you just can't get over a loss and so you can't go to work the next day? Hey, I'll tell you, grade 4. Wait, it's 12. So grade 6 or 7. I bet the Miami Dolphins are going to win the Super Bowl over top of the San Francisco 49ers, and I bet 50 hockey cards on it. This is an expensive bet when you're 12. They go on to lose, of course, and haven't been back to the Super Bowl ever since. I had to give up 50 cards, but they were the 1979-80 OPC, the blue cards. Remis, which is, what year is that? That's the Wayne Gretzky rookie card year. So I have no idea how many cards I gave to my friend Derek Gatherhole in that transaction. So I could be out $4 or $5 million right now, not knowing. And I still went to school the next day. So Hustler, you lose one Monday Night Football game. Your Chiefs are 2-3. You've been to the Super Bowl a million times this last couple of years, including losing them or winning some of them, and you can't even come to work. So every time you ask me to come on this show when Hustler's not on, I'm coming on. Don't even ask me. Just send me the link. I'm more than happy to come on here and talk about the chicken crap guy that doesn't even show up for his own show after his team loses on Monday Night Football. You have to have respect for what Jacksonville has done. Like that, there is a great story brewing there. You have a franchise quarterback, and all it takes is good coaching. Like, who knew? It's amazing what happens when you bring in a half-decent coach, and especially in football. And the Dolphins do not have that. We're not going to get into that either. So, I mean, as bad as it is for us, it's a great story. I love when teams come out of nowhere in the National Football League. That's what makes the league so great, is you have these teams that are like, they were 4-13 a year ago. They switch coaches, and suddenly all this talent that they had on the offensive side of the ball, and obviously on the defensive side of the football, has started to show itself. So good for Jacksonville. I do not feel sorry for Kansas City in the slightest. My wife and I were cheering so loud, especially for them to lose that way. Like the right guard steps on Trevor Lawrence's foot. He wipes out not once, but twice, still gets up, two Chiefs players run into each other when they're converging on Lawrence, and then he runs in and strolls into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. It was so beautiful in so many aspects. And sure, like, you know what I mean? Like, it is pure jealousy that I'm speaking of, because I would love to have the success the Chiefs are having as a Dolphins fan. But man, was that fun to watch. And just the way that happened, that once you think of the game-winning goal that Tanner Pearson scored in the shootout in Calgary the other night, that was wild. This is 1,000 times better than that. Period.
Yeah, great throw as well to Brian Thomas there on the sideline. We did have a Mario Manningham catch reference on the broadcast as well, which I appreciated. But to be fair to Hustler, this was pre-scheduled. It is just a coincidence that the Chiefs lose the day before. It's good to have some fun.
He pre-schedules a day off after the Chiefs are on TV when you know the schedule. So so what you're saying is Huss knew they were going to lose, and that's why he knew he had to take a preemptive day off.
Unrelated. He's working very hard for WST today in different capacity. Moving on, Winnipeg Jets, Jamie, got to be pumped that this preseason's over. I mean,
oh my
Sandberg injury, and they're getting out of the final game. Perfetti banged up with an ankle, and Jonathan Toews, they announced the roster. He's on non-roster, or so what is it?
Non-roster injury. If he hasn't played in the previous two seasons, they're allowed to put him on there just to get some breathing room to make sure that he's going to be okay, to allow them to do whatever it is they need to do. Now, he was skating today, normal color jersey. All signs are pointing to Jonathan Toews playing opening night against Dallas, but I don't blame them. They're using a loophole in the system to make sure everything's okay, and that's fine, as you should. So I mean, I would be shocked if he's not out there opening night, but stranger things have happened, especially with the way the Jets things have gone for Winnipeg, the way this camp has. But Scott Arniel pointed out today, like, Kevin Cheveldayoff management done a tremendous job of making this team possibly even deeper than it was a year ago. So you don't want to lose a Dylan Sandberg. You don't want to lose a Cole Perfetti. Yes, and certainly you do not want to start the season without Adam Lowry. But you have the pieces intact. Again, by committee, you're going to be able to survive this. And as Arniel has said many times, it's better this happens now than later on in the year. But who knows? Like, just the way injuries are going right now in the National Hockey League ahead of an Olympic year, and the schedule of the way it's going to be, this could just be the tip of the iceberg for many teams with the injuries that are happening. But for the time being, it's three pretty big names out of the lineup for the Jets to start the season. But it looks like they, the way the team has been built this year, it looks like they have enough horses to override things for a little bit until they start getting guys back.
Yeah, one guy who they brought in, who you had a conversation with on the Ground Control podcast, Gus.
Yes.
Nyquist. He can be wearing number 14. How do you think he's going to fit in there on line 2? And what does he bring to the Jets lineup that you've seen so far in preseason?
Right. Murata Touch brought this up a little bit today. He makes sneaky plays, right? It's just, I think you can't go wrong adding a guy that's 2 years removed of 75 points. So clearly he has not, lost anything. There was just a down year in Nashville last year. That was for the Nashville Predators as a whole too, but it's just another veteran presence. And now if Jonathan Toews plays open night, so I'm going to preface every time I talk about this, if he plays opening night, you have, with Nikita Chibrikov, you have two veteran players that will be able to help Chibrikov. And I mean, there's not two better people to be learning from than two veterans, the status of Gus Nyquist and certainly Jonathan Toews. So I think what you have is another veteran presence in the room. You have a guy that's desperate to win a Stanley Cup. He understands that the time is ticking for him in his National Hockey League career and yet to win a Stanley Cup title. And is hungry for that and understands how difficult it was to play against the Jets system over the past couple of years and now is a part of it. So there's so many intangibles in there that could be helpful. And he's one of those guys that's going to have to clearly fill in and help by committee replace the Cole Perfetti up front. But I think Gus Nyquist can handle that and more, considering his resume in the National Hockey League before he came here.
Dylan Sandberg, big loss for the defense. You look at the pairings today, Morrissey, DeMello, that's standard pairing, Fleury, Pionk, Stan Shen, and then Colin Miller. How do you see this team, handling losing Dylan Sandberg, who's such a key part of the defense.
Right. Again, another place where you're not, it's okay that we've lost Dylan Sandberg. That's not what I'm saying at all. And there's enough depth. And here's another thing too, Remis, is the system itself that they play, the defensive structure they play. If they play it to precision like they had for large chunks of last year, they're going to be okay. It is not ideal to lose one of your top shot blockers, but you have Hayden Fleury, who's been in the system for a long time. You have Logan Stanley, who's just itching to get a chance to prove himself for long. That's the problem here. As critical as people have been of Logan Stanley, he has not been, because of the depth and because of injuries, he has not been given the opportunity to play as much as he should in order to develop and become the player in the system that the Jets want. So this is a great opportunity for him. Again, alongside a great veteran in Luke Shen, and then you can, move Colin Miller in and out of the lineup as you will. So again, not ideal, but they have the horses in order to fill in for the 6 to 8 weeks that Dylan Sandberg will be lost to the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, they were able to weather the storm last year for a stretch. Nothing they haven't seen before, and something we haven't seen before actually, Jamie, is Nikita Chibrikov on line 2. What an opportunity for him. Can he take advantage and make it stick there for the time being while Perfetti is injured?
Well, first off, I don't want to take all the blame for this, but I remember a friend of mine from Toronto texted me and says, is there any rookies going to make the Winnipeg Jets? I'm like, not a chance. There's no way that's going to happen. And I'm pretty sure, I don't know, maybe 2 nights later. And I remember camp was just going along smoothly. I'm like, this has been a boring training camp. And then I spoke too soon because it's been awful in that aspect. But I mean, Nikita Chibrikov was, of course, he gets a big goal in his NHL debut against the Vancouver Canucks. Was having a decent year last year before he got hurt. But I think the big thing for him is he gets hurt. It's a pretty serious knee injury, and the rehab for that said injury was grueling. And Scott O'Neill talked to him, management talked to Chibrikov in the offseason about the opportunity that was presenting itself for him. Maybe not so much to make the team at a training camp, but just to be one of the first guys called up, right? Just because of the depth that was in front of him. But there's still opportunity. And he takes this to heart. He adds weight. He's already a big pain in the butt to play against. Now you've added some muscle to that frame, along with the way he plays the game. I mean, this is as good as a chance as it gets for Nikita Chibrikov to be on that second line and then get some power play time as well for the Winnipeg Jets. So again, you don't want to lose Cole Perfetti, but this is a great opportunity to see if Nikita Chibrikov can play at the highest level under this type of pressure, and he's going to get a great chance early on. And I'm excited to see it. I remember the first game of the 2025 Prospects Showcase in Montreal. He looked like a guy I hadn't played in a long time. And then the second game, a little bit better. And then as you start to see him through training camp and the preseason, he is getting stronger and stronger. And certainly is 100% thrilled with this opportunity, understands how important it is too, just listening to the way he talks about what is happening and getting the contract on top of that as well, the extension. So it's been a great fall so far for Nikita Chibrikov. I'm just excited to see how this works out with him and to veteran presence that can only help him in his development in the National Hockey League.
The one line that's gone kind of under the radar here in training camp, maybe the top line, Connor, Shafley, Villar, you just know what you're going to get. But that third line...
The sky is blue, Remis. That's all. You know that the line's going to be great. The sky is blue. The Shifley line's going to be fine.
It's like we don't spend a lot of time talking about them, Josh Morrissey and Connor Hrabchak, because you know what you're going to get. And, I feel like it's gone under the radar. Niederreiter, Nemestikov, Iafallo. I don't know if we've got a name for these guys, but all veteran guys all seem to go out and just do their job. And Nemestikov, who was second line center all of last season, I think these guys might be getting a bit overlooked. Niederreiter, we know he's going to give you 20 goals. Nemestikov, he was solid. And Iafallo, what did Arneal just called him a Swiss Army knife? Today you can play anywhere.
You need that's but they have so many of these guys on this roster, and that's what makes them so good and a harder team to play against. It's just like You know, if this guy's off one night, you can move this guy up, and you can push this guy down, and you'll still get quality minutes out of them. So it is, again, another huge loss. The loss of Adam Lowry, to me, is just more about not so much play, which is he's one of their best defensive forwards. It's just the emotional leader that he is and has proven so far in his time as captain. That's going to be tough to replace. But that being said, you throw Vladislav Domestikov, who you can just throw in for extended period of time and get what you need out of, especially on the third line. I think and Alex Iafallo, same thing. Playing the first line today, is on the first power play unit in the pot position. It is no longer the bumper position in the structure that they have on the power play. But this is a guy that can give you good minutes up and down your lineup. So this is going to be your most important line. There's a shutting down the other team's best, especially on home ice. And I'm curious to see how this works out. But it's not like you're going, oh no, it's not Niederreiter, Lowry, Appleton. It's just like, oh man, this is what they're throwing in there. So that's a comfort for Scott Arniel to know that he has these types of players like Domestikov and Iafallo, and know that what he's going to get. And of course, if you can count on somebody to score 20 goals for you every year, which is what Nino Niederreiter has proven throughout his career, I mean, that's only another bonus too, and another reason why they're so deep up front.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then on that fourth line, Cole Koepke, I think a lot of people didn't know a lot about him coming in when he was signed, but he's seemed to establish himself pretty well on what should be a solid fourth line there with Morgan Barron and Tanner Pearson.
Yeah, the most exciting part of that to me is just Morgan Barron getting another opportunity to play center. And did that a little bit last year. Loves playing center. Who doesn't? If you're a National Hockey player. Tanner Pearson, you throw another Stanley Cup champion there on the wing, and Cole Koepke loves to hit everything that moves. So you have all the pieces in place for a solid forward group. Not flashy. Yes, you're losing an electric player like Nikolai Ehlers, but you're going to be more scoring by committee, which is what you want. You want depth from the first line to the fourth line, and that's what the Jets have. So the big thing I'm watching is to see how Morgan Barron handles time in the middle, what Cole Koepke and Tanner Pearson do. Tanner Pearson's a big dude. He's won a Stanley Cup, as I said. I just think you have a ton of veteran presence outside of Chibrikov up front, and that's only going to be beneficial for you when the grind of the National Hockey League season gets going, and beginning part of November, and grinds through until the trade deadline. So I like what they have up front. Let's not kid ourselves; it'll be extremely challenging to start the year 15-1, but you're still, to me, a team that is more than reasonable to say that they're in a conversation to win the Central Division again once the dust settles next April.
Yeah, I was looking at the Athletic projections earlier on the show. These got the Jets there, 99.7 points, just behind Colorado 105 and Dallas 103.1. So those three seem to be the ones to pick. Looking around the league, is there another team that you've got your eye on?
Well, I don't know. You can't keep your eye up Montreal. I know there's a lot of things went right for them last year, but they're going to be fun to watch. There's no question about that. And it's almost disappointing that game tomorrow is in Toronto, not Montreal, just with all the excitement that's surrounding the team. Can Ottawa build off last year? So it's not just the Toronto Maple Leafs anymore in Eastern Canada and conversations about the playoffs. Man, can Florida, despite all their injuries, they still look like they're a team that you have to be concerned about. And now, after the biggest hometown discount in the history of hockey, what do the Edmonton Oilers do to give Connor McDavid that opportunity to win his first Stanley Cup? So I will always have my eyes on the Canadian teams and the Florida Panthers, just based on they're just such interesting stories. And we cannot overlook the St. Louis Blues. I don't think what happened in that first round against Winnipeg is a blip on the radar. St. Louis will be a handful again this year in the Central Division, which is this. When I talk about how it's going to be challenging to go 15-1. It's just based on how incredibly hard it's going to be to play in the Central Division night over night, which only makes the Jets better when the playoffs come around. So as as unfun as it might be to sit there and say they're in the best division in hockey, that's only going to help them and has helped them over the past few years to be ready when the Stanley Cup playoffs begin.
Yeah, Central Division, very tough. Minnesota, St. Louis, Utah improved. Of course, Dallas, Colorado. Only Chicago, way, way down on the predictions. Maybe, I don't want to call anyone a free space on the bingo card.
Never.
Jamie. No. Not going to do that, but their projected point total is much lower than the rest.
Yeah, and I mean, that's fair. I mean, Nashville can't possibly be as bad as they were last year. There's no way, especially with UC Saros in net. But I'm curious to see if all those moves they made, all that money they spent, is going to come to fruition or not. Because it'll be a great. I don't know. Some teams will be a little bit more hesitant to spend the kind of money that Nashville did to expedite the rebuilding, the way that the Predators tried to do last year.
Yeah, the Predators, they were off-season champions last year and just had a miserable. I don't know who the off-season champions were this one. I don't know if we officially crowned anyone, but as far as
Edmonton.
Yeah. Edmonton. Well, no, because they got McDavid done? That's it?
Yeah. That's all. I mean, that's really, to me, that's the story of the offseason here. Is that there's no better, when a guy says he wants to win and shows it this way that he has, I don't know if you can really top that, because that was the conversation piece. Outside of, you have Elliot Friedman pointing out his 32 thoughts. You have the most expensive, lucrative contract in NHL history, and you followed by the biggest hometown discount contract in history. It's been a fascinating offseason, man, for sure.
Yeah, and that was the big storyline coming in about all these key players who are entering the last year of their deal. Jack Eichel, McDavid, Kempe, Kaprizov,
Kyle Connor,
Panarin. Yeah, and that brings us to Kyle Connor. Is your phone on like loud alerts? Are you waiting for the bat signal to come at any time? What's it like there at the office?
Yeah, it's pretty. I think, first off, there's expectation, and I thought this could have been done, because of what had happened with Scheifele and Hellebuyck. They're just going to do this again. They're going to wait right before the regular season starts, announce Kyle Connor, and then all of a sudden the conversation about Kaprizov gets going, and you're wondering now what that contract is going to look like. But in the end of all this, when all this is blown over, I don't think there's ever been a concern, at least from my perspective, and this is without talking to anybody, that Kyle Connor is not going to sign here. Just how long and for how much remains to be seen. But I don't think there's concern here about that happening, because of how good of a fit he is here. And I don't need to go on a list of drafted guy, developed here, all that stuff like that. He's just such a good fit on that top line, top power play, elite player, elite shot. We don't need to go into this, and is clearly underrated everywhere outside of Winnipeg. So yes, my phone's on all the time, ready for stuff to happen, but I don't think there's ever been a concern that he's not going to sign here.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. I got my phone on high alert. I remember where I was when I got the Scheifele Hellebuyck dual extensions. I screamed when I looked at my phone, and my wife got mad at me. She's like, "Oh, I thought this was something, involving people that we actually know, like a family."
But it is somebody you do know. Scheifele and Hellebuyck are family. That's what you should tell your lovely wife. This affects me. And if it affects me, it affects you. That's what I say. If I'm happy, you're happy.
I was doing a puzzle or something with the kids. It was Thanksgiving Day.
Shove them over because you're exploding.
I was
jump out of the air.
Gotta make a graphic for the Winnipeg Sports Talk Instagram. I can't be doing
Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah.
Gotta go. Here, kids, have my pumpkin pie. I gotta go.
Yeah, so we'll see. I guess I gotta put my phone on extra loud vibrate. We'll see. Maybe it'll come. Maybe not.
I think we just, I don't know. It's about expectation. I mean, it fits perfectly. You make the announcement tomorrow. You go into opening night. Jonathan Toews skating the ice. Kyle Connor's got a new contract. I mean, what else could you really ask for? You've already started the Cinderella dream season. Not that they're a Cinderella team, but it's just like a Disney story, basically. It's Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, yeah. Opening night, big one there at Canada Life Center. Excited for the banner unveiling, the intros, the trophies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm just so glad there's just some banners going up. It's just nice to add. It looks nice, and it reminds people of how great of a season it was. Allows the fan to celebrate in that. So home openers. Scott Arneal was asked by Elliot Freeman today about, I think it's his 43rd
Thought?
season opener as a professional. And just like he just said it best, I think it's the same. It resonates with all of us. Every year, it's just so exciting to start over again and see what this season's going to look like with all the new players and so on and so forth. But I mean, if you're not excited about this year, it's beautiful out again. We had one bad couple of days. Now it's nice out. It's going to be nice out on Thursday. How can you not be excited to go to the rink and start this all over again, especially following up what happened last year? And I believe a lot of lessons learned about what else needs to be done to go further in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So valuable lessons that you don't get without what happened to the Jets last year. That will only make them better, especially with the veterans that they've added to the roster.
Perfect. And Ground Control Podcast, new episodes. You weren't in the 100-pack card opening with Sarah? They didn't ask you to do that one?
Orlesky said I'd do a better job, and I would, because I actually have opened hockey cards in my lifetime a million times. But I have done it with Penny before on his live stream on TikTok. I can't remember. I don't remember half the stuff that social gets us to do. Just go on that stuff. I am way better at it, but Orlesky's got to have some fun too. Keep in mind, we have our great show that leads into your show coming up on Thursday. It's the check-in.
Jonathan, when you and the...
There we go.
Sorry.
We're going to run that later? You want to show it?
No. I was just bringing up the channel because people may not know about the Orlesky 100 card pack opening video.
Play it after I'm done, because I got to go write a story about what happened today. But I mean, she's great in it. She always is. But we have the check-in pregame show starts at 12:30. Then we lead into your guys' great show as we are partners together, us and WST. So that's on Thursday. Darren Dreger is going to join us to talk about hopefully Kyle Connor's contract extension. And then on top of that, great things. We got a new studio, going to show that off. And then Ground Control. I'm not sure who my next guest is, but my current guest was Gus Nyquist. And I did not know this. I asked him by accident. He has not finished his college degree yet, because he's, I think, one semester away from finishing. And then lots of other things we talk about hockey cards. We talk about the World Hockey Championship. He's a great dude. So make sure you check that out. And hopefully the new pod will be dropping in about a week's time. I'm not going to tell you who the guest is yet.
Gus Nyquist went to University of Maine for 3 years before leaving to go pro.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? So I asked him about why he made the decision to go to U.S. college and leave Sweden, because not a lot of guys do. They all stay there and play, pro hockey, and then eventually come over to North America. So he's got a great story about that. Great story about Maine. Great story about hockey cards. So Gus Nyquist, check it out right now.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Jamie. Appreciate you coming on and taking the time here.
Remis, you're the best. Hustler, you're a coward. Talk to you later, buddy.
Oh my God. There is Chiefs hater. Chiefs hater. Look at that maniacal laugh. Chiefs hater Jamie Thomas as he gets out of the green room. I knew when I saw the Chiefs lost yesterday, and I knew Jamie was coming on today, he was really going to bring it. So Jamie Thomas TV on X, Winnipeg Jets YouTube, does his 3 thoughts on WinnipegJets.com. Got a lot of great stuff coming up. But first, here's Hustler, and after Taylor Allen, Winnipeg Free Press, Manitoba Moose head coach Mark Morrison, and also Alex Campbell with the Sea Bears. So I'll be right back.
Princess Auto, headquartered here in Winnipeg, founded in Winnipeg, now coast to coast, but with 3 Manitoba locations to serve you. Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon, out for our friends in Westman. And of course, you can always shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Yes, I did jinx both the Bills and the Eagles with the first edition of the Chud Sports Power Poll on Friday. We were hitting the NFL. We'll have our preseason NHL Power Poll for Chuds before we drop the puck on the season. But it is just so great to have Chud's Power Sports on board with us for over 80 years in the Ginley community, being a real leader in Manitoba's true power sports superstore. They really do have it all, gang. ATVs, UTVs, bikes and street bikes, but tractors and golf carts, the Argo, Sasquatch vehicles, not to mention, as we get ready for winter, an incredible selection of snowmobiles, ice houses, RVs, you name it, they have it, along with the best and most experienced sales and financing personnel, 130 years combined from the gang there, ready to take care of you. You are always welcome at Chud's. And adventure awaits right now with your fall must-haves like the ATVs, side-by-sides, personal transportation, getting those snowmobiles ready. And, of course, they got the biggest and best parts section in the store. If you are thinking about working on that sled or getting it ready for the season, the great folks at Chud's will help you with the parts that you need and some great advice as well. Pop by and see them in Ginley, leaders of the Ginley community, Ginley and Highway 8 and 231. And, of course, you can check them out online at chudspowersports.com. And also, for those of you that love a great deal, check out truenorthparts.ca. Got some great clearance opportunities and great deals on there for gear, accessories, and so much more at truenorthparts.ca. One other thing that Chud's Power Sports carries, of course, is Manitoba Battery products. Donnie and the gang at Manitoba Battery are the local leader when it comes to everything you need, powering up your good times or your car or truck. And listen, with winter just around the corner, you got to make sure your battery's ready for it. Free battery testing at both Manitoba Battery locations, Logan Avenue and Dovercourt Drive. But they'll also be able to deliver those batteries to you anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. It all is just one step away, a click away, if you will. ManitobaBattery.com. Give them a call or pop by, see them in store. Wake up Winnipeg. Stop overpaying for batteries. Get the best prices and the best service and shop local at your local Manitoba Battery location.
There's us back tomorrow as we count down to the Winnipeg Jets season. And one other team starting their season this weekend is the Manitoba Moose. At home, Friday night, 7 p.m., home opener against Laval Rocket. A lot of excitement for the Moose this year with all the veterans they've signed and even the young players making their pro debuts, or at least full season debut. Colby Barlow and Braden Yeager and Ville Heinola, for another former first-round pick, getting sent down. Joining me right now to tee up the Moose season is their head coach, Mark Morrison. Mark, how's it going? What's training camp been like for you?
Training camp's been competitive, that's for sure. We've had some, a lot of tryout players and some ECHL players from our affiliate in Norfolk, and have all showed well. And it's, players have slowly filtered down from the Jets. So camp has been good. It's been competitive. There's been lots of changes to lineups and ice times, as it always in the American Hockey League. It's, we're kind of always running around changing things as players arrive, but it's been good.
A lot of excitement leading up to the opener there on Friday night at Canada Life Center.
Yeah, for sure there is. I mean, we played Laval, who we've had competitive games in the past. They're a very good hockey team, and we're excited to get going. It's been a long time here. We've been watching most of Jets camp for the last 3 weeks, and then a couple of weeks of our own camp. So, yeah, I mean, we've had enough of camps. We're ready to get playing.
Yeah, and Mark, you've been with the organization, been the head coach since 2021. How different does this, training camp and season feel for you as compared to previous?
Well, I think that it's been probably a little bit more competitive than any of the other camps, as far as, players depth players for the Jets that have been sent down. Our practices have been fast. So, yeah, I mean, I think the competition is probably the key there, that it's been a little bit harder than other camps.
Yeah, how important was it for you to add some veteran players? You mentioned some of the depth players for the Jets, like Jared Anderson-Dolan, who we saw, but also bringing in Also bringing in Philip DiGiuseppe, Samuel Flagamo. We got a lot of veteran players now down with the Moose.
Yeah, I mean, it's an important part of the Moose. Like, first of all, those players are to be, they all came down with great attitudes as far as wanting to get back with the Jets and working, but they also came down with great attitudes as far as working with some of the prospects. So we've had those conversations with the depth players, and it's important that they're part of the process here with the Moose and developing players. So they've all fared really well in their first practices as far as work ethic goes and attitude, and so far it's been really good.
And you mentioned some of the prospects as well. A couple former first-round picks on the roster, notably Colby Barlow and Braden Yeager, the full-time pro this season. What have you seen from them so far throughout, I guess, going back to the prospect tournament and now at camp?
Yeah, they've both fared very well. I mean, there are some things that they have to learn, and it comes from experience, and so that's one of the reasons surrounding them by those veteran players is to mentor them and help them. But they fared very, very well, and they look like they're going to be full-time players for us, and in different situations on special teams, and we're excited to have them, and I think they're excited to get going.
When you look at the Moose roster this season, we saw Billy Heinola sent down yesterday. Goaltending seems to be very strong. What's the biggest strength that you see so far heading into 25-26?
I think it's the strength is going to be our veteran players. I mean, we have a few of them that haven't been here before. They're hungry, and I think that's going to be our strength. It's going to be Jets depth and Moose veterans.
You find it tough to balance, the veteran players and having, young players playing pro for the first time?
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right. Like it can be difficult at times. I mean, sometimes veteran players aren't that accepting of that role of playing with a younger player, but I don't see that as being a problem here with this group. Early accounts for the veterans are accepting of that and willing to do that, but in the past it can be a problem. But I don't foresee that this year.
One player who really stood out at the prospects tournament and the preseason was Danny Zhilkin. What changes have you seen, if any, in his game coming into this year?
Well, yeah, I would agree with you. Right from the start, from the rookie camp in Montreal, I thought Danny had, excelled in those games. And back here at Jets camp, the change in his game, I think he's just a little bit more confidence. He is going into his third year of pro, and I just think he has more confidence with the puck. He seems to be taking the puck to the net, making plays, hanging on to the puck and protecting it. Just not throwing it away. He seems to be playing with a lot more confidence, and that's a natural progression there going into your third year.
And some other players going into another year of pro: Thomas Milic, Dominic DiVincentis. What do you say about the team's state of goaltending? I mean, Dom had a pretty good game in that prospects tournament as well.
Yeah, we haven't had that in the past. The two young goalies. Back to back there, so we have a lot of confidence in both of those guys. They've gone down to Norfolk and ECHL and had great seasons and played very well, and they've also both played very well for the Moose. So even though they're young, they've had lots of AHL experience in them, and I think they're going to be a great 1-2 for us.
Looking at a couple players who were on the Moose last year but currently on the Jets roster, Nikita Chibrikov, Brad Lambert, Parker Ford. What kind of growth did you see from them with the Moose that prepared them for the next level?
Yeah, they're all hard workers, and we're very excited that they're still there. I know there's still a long road to go for them, but we're excited that they're there. And as far as their growth goes, it's taken a couple years, but they're all hard workers, and as time went on, they got better at their game, skill wise, system wise, and it's just proof that the American Hockey League develops players the right way, and we're very proud that they're still there.
Mark, you've been coaching, pro hockey for a long time. How has your approach to coaching changed throughout your career?
The one word I think is just that I would have that has changed is just patience. Patience with players, and it takes time to develop. It takes time to build teams. Time to get better. So yeah, I would say just have more patience.
When you look at this year, last year out of the playoffs, is the playoffs a goal for the team this season?
Absolutely. I don't have anything else more to say than that. It's absolutely a goal.
Well, Mark, when you're not coaching hockey, what are you doing to occupy your time away from the rink?
Well, to be honest, the only time you really have away from the rink is in the summer, and I spent some time back in Victoria, British Columbia, and spending some time with the grandkids and fishing. And when we get back here and we start, there's not really a lot of spare time. So our spare time is probably watching video at the Iceplex.
Hockey. Well, sounds like a great summer, Mark. We're excited for the Moose to be back here Friday and Sunday, home opener. Do you have a message to any fans out there thinking about coming out and wanting to see the team this year?
Yeah, I think it'd be nice to see as many fans out and cheering us on in that building and in Canada Life. And you're going to see some real good hockey. I think you're going to see some skilled, motivated hockey players play a solid game. And Laval's a great opponent.
There he is, Mark Morrison, head coach of the Manitoba Moose, starting up Friday, Sunday. Very exciting to see. He wants to get back into the playoffs this year. Very disappointing year for them last year, and they've loaded up with veterans, but also some young talent. Switching gears from the ice to the grass. We're going to talk Bombers here. Taylor Allen just getting home from Bombers practice, and he joins me now. Taylor, what's going on? How was your bye week?
My week was great. I kept busy with some playoff baseball, watched some curling as well. Curling kind of gets lost in the shuffle, but with the bye week, was able to dive into the PointsBet Invitational a little bit. But yeah, happy to get back to the football and Bombers, obviously.
The Bombers in an interesting spot here coming in. BC won last week, so they are just behind. But BC's got the bye now, and we're into Calgary losing 4 in a row. The Bombers have a real chance here for the first time in a while to grab that second spot here in the West. How are they feeling here coming into after a week off?
Yeah, this was not a conversation that I thought we'd be having just a few weeks ago. Never mind, even a few months ago, obviously. But yeah, like this, no one really saw this coming. I mean, Calgary has totally fallen off, losing 4 straight. BC is obviously on a hell of a run. They have found their stride, obviously, and then the Bombers. I mean, they're still in it. Like the West is anyone's game right now. And, I was talking to Mike O'Shea about this today, saying how this is kind of uncharted territory for the Bombers. I mean, these past couple of years, it's basically felt like they've clinched the top spot in the West at this point. And now here they are. I mean, everything's on the table for basically every single team in the West for the most part, other than Edmonton, really. But, the Bombers are still kind of sticking to the same old formula. We're just worrying about us. We're not looking at the standings. We're not looking too far ahead and whatever. So Mike wouldn't, give me much there. But yeah, the guys had a hell of a win over Hamilton, 40-3. And, sometimes you don't really want to go into a bye week after such a complete game like that, a 3-phase win like that. But after playing 11 straight games, and then obviously 3 very important games coming up where really the Bombers control their destiny, I think they were kind of happy to have some time off. But yeah, they look good, and they said they're feeling good and they're ready to go for the home stretch here.
The Bombers have battled injuries this season, but it seems like they're relatively healthy. What can you tell us about the way the roster looks? Anyone missing practice here 2 days in?
Yeah, I mean, Demario Houston hasn't been at practice. We haven't really been told much, just been kind of told that, he's had some I believe he went home for the bye week, and there's been some hiccups with his his itinerary getting him back to Winnipeg, whatever that may mean. Nick Dembski hasn't been at practice. Sounds like he's expecting the birth of his second child, so that's exciting. So we'll see when he returns this week. But injury wise, this team is pretty healthy, and obviously this is the right time to be healthy. So yeah, overall the team's feeling pretty good.
One thing that's really improved for me, going back to like the last month, starting with the Labor Day game against Saskatchewan, is the defense. What's changed for you about the defense? They seem to not be giving up those big plays that were really killing them early in the season.
Beginning of the year, the secondary was not playing good football. They've always had Evan Holm and Dietrich Nichols, of course, and those guys do their thing. But the secondary, the first couple weeks of the year, that was a big hole for this team. A lot of people were saying, like, man, like they got to bring in somebody in the secondary. Like this team, it's not looking good. Reddick Cramdy was playing safety. Like they were moving guys around. They're trying to see what worked. And also, adding Demario Houston a few weeks ago has been a big boost. But they've just kind of found their A game recently. Like they are peaking at the right time. They haven't really, and then Cam Allen, a rookie, he started the year on the practice roster. They have him playing safety now, and he's been a nice add to the mix as well. So, yeah, overall, this defense, all three levels of it are playing good football right now. But yeah, I'd say just the biggest thing with this defense and why it's so different now is just the secondary has just gone so much better. Sorry, I should say.
Yeah, Demario Houston was a big ad, picking him up as a free agent, and there are questions about quarterbacking with Chris Streveler, and Zach Collaros, he had to leave a number of games, taking big hits, and Milt Siegel went as far on the broadcast to say that thought he should retire, but it seemed like Zach has quieted all of those critics with his performance against Hamilton, and another big performance this year was at home against Edmonton, and look who the opponent is on Saturday in Edmonton. Bombers have to be feeling a bit better right now about their quarterback situation.
Well, going into the Hamilton game, obviously everyone was very happy and excited to see Zach back and, more importantly, healthy. But, I went on record as to say, like, hey, yes, he's back, and yes, he's going to be a big upgrade over Chris Streveler, but Zach needs to be better. Like, let's not forget, before he did get hurt in the Banjo Bowl, he wasn't exactly having a great season, being near the top of the league in interceptions and just the team not being very consistent on offense. And yes, I realize they don't have Kenny Lawler anymore. And yes, I realize they lost Dalton Schoen, early on in the year and whatnot as well. But at the end of the day, whether it was number 8 or number 17, the Bombers weren't getting great quarterback play. And yeah, Zach was turning it on a little bit, before he did get hurt. But yeah, that Hamilton game, far and away his best game of the year, far and away the whole team's best game of the year. But I think it's most encouraging that finally the Bombers look like they're rounding a corner, especially on offense. And, people didn't really know what to expect from Zach coming off of an injury. But, I think he silenced a lot of doubters. And I think there's a lot of people now who really believe that this Bombers team can go on a run. And, 3 weeks ago, even 4 weeks ago, whatever it was, people around here were not saying that. People kind of thought this team would be, maybe one and done in the playoffs. But now I think people, realistically think that this team can go on a run. And honestly, I wouldn't blame anyone for thinking that.
Yeah, they seem to be, peaking at the right time, but their play has been going up, and you see a team like Calgary losing 4 in a row. But the team to be worried about is BC, with the way Nathan Rourke is playing. Seems like a lock for 300 passing yards every game. Maybe some concerns their defense. Going to be tough to outscore them. One thing the Bombers do have is Nathan Rourke has never beaten the Bombers, but with the win against Edmonton, they'd be in a really good spot here, depending on what Calgary does on Saturday. They're in Hamilton, so the Bombers seem to be putting themselves in good position here as we get closer to the playoffs.
Well, absolutely, and they're very fortunate that they were playing BC early on in the season, and they already have that tiebreaker with them, already in their back pocket. So that's massive for them, and. They did go 0-3 against Calgary, so obviously they don't have that tiebreaker with the Stampeders, but the Stampeders have fallen off a cliff, again, losing 4 games in a row. And, this is kind of the Vernon Adams experience, right? There are times where he looks like an MOP type of player in this league, and then there's other times where it's like, my goodness, how is this guy even a starter? So Calgary's learning that firsthand, obviously, and Nathan Rourke, right? Like obviously, a new head coach this year in Buck Pierce, and they had some growing pains at the start of the year, to put it nicely. But I think we all kind of knew, just give those guys some time. When you have an offensive mind like Buck, and obviously a talent like Nathan Rourke, chances are they're going to figure it out. And I don't think people thought they would get this good, at least not this quickly, especially after that the first month or two of the year. But yeah, Nathan Rourke is far and away looking like the MOP, right now. And BC is not a team I don't think anyone is going to be excited to play come playoff time.
It is kind of funny. We're like, oh, the Bombers got lucky playing BC early when they weren't at their best. But as you said, on the flip side, they had to play Calgary, who was playing at such a high level that we thought, oh, are they going to be a Grey Cup pick? And now here they are, lost 4 in a row, and their quarterback's coming out saying, losing his confidence. But back to the Bombers, were you, last week was the trade deadline. Were you surprised when they didn't get any insurance at quarterback and choose to roll with Chris Streveler as the backup?
No, I'm not surprised. I mean, who is really available for them to bring in? And I know, people here are not high on Chris Streveler, and especially that last game in Ottawa definitely did not do him any favors. But I mean, at the end of the day, yeah, who is really available? And I know everyone thinks back to 2019 when the Bombers, got Zach literally at the last second before the trade deadline and stuff. But the CFL trade deadline is usually very quiet. There wasn't any trades at all in the league, as far as I know. So yeah, I was not surprised to see the Bombers stand pat with where they are. But obviously, it goes without saying, if Zach goes down, then this entire ship is more likely going down. But again, there was really no savior out there that they could have brought in that would change that if he was to get hurt. So yeah, not surprised to see Chris Streveler still number 2.
So we'll keep crossing our fingers that Zach Collaros can stay upright, throwing the ball. Looking forward to seeing what the Bombers can bring for an encore. Tough to follow that one up, that explosion against Hamilton, but they'll be heading to Commonwealth Stadium on Saturday in Edmonton. Taylor, you want to let everyone know what you have this week coming out at the Winnipeg Free Press?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll be going to Edmonton this week, which I'm very excited about because, like you said, it's going to be a massive game. But I'll be at practice all week, keeping tabs on the guys and all the storylines with the team. So yeah, pick up the Winnipeg Free Press or subscribe if you haven't already. And should be a fun week. But just kind of closing, I was talking to Brady Oliveira today. And obviously, this season's going to end, this regular season's ending a little different for these guys, going down to the wire and stuff like that. And, probably potentially having to play a road playoff game. And Brady was saying, you know what, the last few years we've been the number 1 seed and, that didn't exactly work out for us. So, whatever path we end up having to go down this year, maybe change will be a good thing for us. So yeah, we'll see where these guys end up or whatever. But wherever they do end up, I think they're going to be pretty happy with where they're at and still confident that they can run the table no matter what.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing how the rest of the season plays out. We're down to the wire in the CFL. Taylor, thanks so much for taking the time to join me here today on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
There he is, Taylor Allen. Follow him on X, Taylor Allen 31. That's 31 for Reggie Miller, if I'm accurate, right, Taylor? He's logging.
That is right. That is right.
Logging off. Still more to come here. More to come. We'll go through the cool bet lines, and we'll have a conversation with Hustler and Alex Campbell, is moving into the front office and the coaching staff with the Winnipeg Sea Bears. But first, here is Hustler.
If you don't have a ticket to the game on Thursday,
what's training camp
the
been
next
like
best
for
place
you?
to be is at your local bar.
That is not the right one. It's this one.
If you don't have a ticket to the game on Thursday, the next best place to be is at your local Boston Pizza for the first of 82. Of course, Boston Pizza is your home for watching the Winnipeg Jets when you're not at the rink. Pick a player contest for all the Winnipeg Jet games. Your chance to win great prizes. And, of course, you can count on that every Monday night, every Thursday night, and Sunday night for primetime NFL football there as well. We're mixing those Jays games, mixing the Bomber games, and you have plenty of options to get down with your gang in the BP Lounge for those ice cold schooners, world famous BP wings, and of course gourmet pizzas as well. Staying at home tonight, order it online and get it hot and fresh to your door at bostonpizza.com. I know there's I've already seen a bunch of Toews 19 jerseys around town. If you want to get one of those or just something new for the upcoming season, get down to Royal Sports before the home opener on Thursday night. Of course, they've got the best selection of jerseys that you'll find in town, all customized with your favorite player's name and number, or your own if you want to go like so many people at Bomber games. New lids in, hoodies, and more. And, of course, you've got great Bomber gear as we get ready for this push to the playoffs. Tons of new NFL merch. And as hockey season drops, a reminder that for over 50 years, Royal Sports has been the superstore when it comes to hockey, with every single thing you could possibly need, from skates to skate laces, full equipment, sticks, helmets, puck, stick tape, whatever it is for the upcoming season you need. Get ready to drop the puck at Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Follow them on Instagram as well at Royal Sports Winnipeg for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. We will get to fan feedback for fans first, and then the three of us take a look at the upcoming NHL season. First, though, let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
Last month, the Winnipeg Sea Bears announced that Alex Campbell, CEBL legend leader in games played, the first Canadian player to reach 1,000 points, has joined the Sea Bears coaching staff as assistant head coach, and he's also joined the front office as assistant general manager. Hustler caught up with him, what was it, last week or a couple weeks ago? Here's that conversation with Hustler and Alex Campbell.
All right, we've got another special guest, a favorite of Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners. It's going to be a bit till the Sea Bears are back on the court, but some big changes coming out of last season. UW head coach Mike Rainbow now is the man in charge of the operation, and CEBL legend and former Sea Bear Alex Campbell is now Coach Campbell as the assistant GM and the assistant coach. He joins us now. Alex, what's going on? Welcome back to Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a while, eh?
No doubt. Well, listen, first things first, I guess we got to congratulate you on an incredible CEBL career. I mean, the first Canadian player to hit 1,000 points. Certainly a huge part of what's happened here in Winnipeg over the last couple of years. Tell us about the decision to hang him up as an active player in the CEBL and make this move.
Well, you know, I've kind of been in a part of the CBL since 2019, since it started, ironically, here in Saskatchewan. And, you know, just watching the league grow and kind of develop over the years, get through COVID, the tough times, and still just be able to be this monster of a league. I reached 32 years old. I got kids, I got family that, you know, I can't keep straying from in the falls. And so I just made the decision, you know, as an older guy, or semi-older, you know what I mean? Not that old, but I'm getting there, just to shut it down. And hand and glove fit. Winnipeg, before I left to Winnipeg, Mike kind of sat me down, told me, you know, what he's thinking. I reported back to Saskatchewan, talked to the head coach here, and we were able to kind of find a middle ground and work it all out. So what I'm calling it is the smoothest transition ever.
Well, I mean, that is good to hear. I mean, it's great to have someone, you know, that has the playing experience being involved in the organization. And, of course, Mike, who has boots on the ground here 12 months a year, which I know is something that was important to the Sea Bears organization. Tell us about the job. I mean, the assistant coach, I think, goes without saying, you'll be a part of the game planning and be on the bench and all that. What about assistant GM? I mean, what are the roles for Alex Campbell, both in season and out?
Well, in season, obviously, is just continue what I was doing. Last year, I kind of fell into that role, that leadership role, where I was like, I wasn't playing as much, but just like the off-court stuff, the bench stuff, just being that voice for the younger groups that's coming in. And then as for the GM stuff, as I said, I think I falls right into place because I know the guys, I know the league, I know the guys coming in, I know the guys going out. I kind of have a good feel for, I think, what can make the team better and improve the team. So I think Mike Rambo seen me as an asset, and I'm ready to blow the doors off the opportunity.
You know, we always had great conversations with Coach Taylor. He was very good to us, and great big part of the organization moving forward. But there is something to be said, for having both yourself and Mike at UW active right now in the off season in U Sports. I mean, just thinking about the amount of exposure you and Mike are going to have to all of the young players, especially in Canada West, seems like, the Sea Bears, when it comes to scouting and drafting, might have sort of a leg up on some of the other teams in the CEBL.
Yeah, I would say so. Just building those relationships over the course of the year. And I think that's the benefit of having two local, semi-local coaches, you know what I mean? Two Canadian coaches that are around from the fall straight into the summer. We're able to kind of get a better eye on the guys that are available, the talent. And then as well as just the relationships I've built over the last couple of years with agents and other players and G League guys, and guys overseas. So I think, as I said, I'm excited for opportunity, and then just being able to try to bring a championship to Winnipeg and put the best product on the floor.
Well, and listen, I mean, that is what the city wants, and I would suggest that Sea Bears fans, the way they supported this team, deserve a championship contender and maybe a little of a parade or a big party down at the Forks. You mentioned, you are as experienced in the CEBL as any player. How will you look back at your time as a player with the Winnipeg Sea Bears and just how far this organization has come in such a short time?
Absolutely. It's bittersweet. I've been telling people it's super bittersweet. Obviously, I think there's a little bit left more in the tank, but at the same time, it is what it is. It ended the way we ended, and I will never be at peace with the way it ended. I could just tell you that from now, especially with the hosting and everything, just the early out. So I think we're indebted as an organization to the fan base of Winnipeg. And as I said, I'm just excited to be still a part of it, different seat, but still a part of it and working towards something great next summer.
Tell us about your relationship with Mike Rambo from UW, who's now the head coach and GM of the Sea Bears as well. I mean, opponents when Sask and UW go at it in U Sports.
That should be a fun one. I think we get them in November, I believe. Mike's been my guy in my corner ever since I came 2 years ago in the summer, and just built that relationship, built that brotherhood over the last couple of years. And then him he was the third, I guess, assistant at that time. And he was always the guy to go to. I have off the court troubles, personal things that was going on. I kind of always relay it through Mike. So I think that relationship was naturally there. And then obviously on the end of the season, he kind of, just put a little birdie before I left, something to think about. And I came back to Sask, thought about it, but it was a no-brainer for real. To accept the job offer. Well, as Mike said, Marambo's a great guy, man.
Well, and listen, doing a very, very good job at UW, and I hope that continues with the Sea Bears as the team moves forward. I mean, the bottom line is you've been a huge part of this league and this organization. It is great to know that you're going to still be a part of it, especially right here in Winnipeg, where you've been such a big part of the Sea Bears since joining the club a couple years ago. Alex, great stuff. Congratulations on the new gig. Very happy to know that we'll still be able to talk to you here on WST throughout the season. All the best. With the exception, all the best with the Huskies, with the exception when you play our Winnipeg and Manitoba teams. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here where we're all on the same page with the Winnipeg Sea Bears.
Absolutely. Appreciate you for having me, Andrew.
Great conversation there with Hustler and Alex Campbell. Sea Bears looking forward to their season. Well, next summer or starting in May. We're on to hockey, though. Nice to check in with the basketball team. We're going to bring in Connor Hrabchak in a second here. We got cool bet lines, the Cineboy Downs picks. But first, let's get to some fan feedback brought to you by Fans First. Your best option for buying and selling tickets in Winnipeg with no fees. What you see is what you pay. Certainly the best place. If you have a pair of extra seats you're looking to buy or sell them, I can tell you as someone who's used Fans First, where I've had to sell or buy tickets, utilizing it so user-friendly. The customer service is great, and you're getting paid the next day right after the game. I know they've been busy for the home opener for the Jets throughout the season, as well the Bombers, as they've been sold out all year. No doubt about that. I asked the chat, give me some predictions here for the hockey season. Any team, doesn't have to be Jets. Phyllis says Dallas will not make the Stanley Cup final, in spite of all the pundits saying they will. Bardo says, if you want a bold prediction, the Habs will win 2 rounds. Columbus will win 1 playoff round. Very bold there. And Leslie in chat says KFC will be the first Jet 2.0 player to break 100 points, and he will score at least 45 goals. Nice comment there from Leslie. And Matt Hyman said this. I wasn't sure where I stood on this one. It doesn't matter. Your first meal of the day, regardless of time, is breakfast. And a guy who's a fan of breakfast coming right in, Connor Hrabchak. Connor, where do you stand? Is the first meal of the day, regardless of time, breakfast? Where do you stand on this?
No, I say no. If you're eating your first meal at like noon or 1, that's lunch. You've missed breakfast, and that is lunch. You can loop it in, you can make it brunch, but breakfast, it has to be before noon. Anything even like after 11 is probably brunch. And then if you're eating your first meal at like 1 o'clock or 12:30, that's lunch. That's lunch. That's my take.
That's Connor's take. So the take's flying in.
What's your take, Remis?
I was going to say no. I think it matters. But then I thought, what would I do? Would I say I just had breakfast if in the days when I would be waking up at noon? Would I call it breakfast or would I call it lunch? I think I would call it. I think it goes by time. I don't think I agree. I like the take from Hyman. I think it's bold, but I don't think I agree. So, and here, let me just change your name on this thing. So that's it from Matt Hyman and the rest of the crew. As far as predictions, Cowboy says Florida will take a step back. And there we go. So there it is. Fan feedback brought to you by Fans First, your number one spot for buying and selling tickets by fans for fans with no fees. And I asked everyone in chat about predictions for the season. Do you have any hot takes of a team going to take a step forward, take a step back, players that you're high on? Care to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask me about players there, I'm high on Utah as a team, but I'm really high on Logan Cooley as a player. He's their top line center. And it was reported yesterday by Frank Saravalli that Cooley turned down an 8-year, $9.6 million deal. And there was a lot of people in the comments and the quote tweets saying, wow, how could he do that? I think by the end of this year, we'll look back at that and think Logan Cooley was really smart for turning that down, because I think he's going to get more on an 8-year deal. I'm so high on him. 3rd overall pick a few years ago. Every time the Jets play Utah, he just jumps off the page to me. And I've watched Utah a lot last year. He was really, really solid. Can't wait to watch Utah again this year, coming up with him and Gunther and all the talent they have up front. I think my boldest take, and I said it yesterday on the show, the Ottawa Senators win the Atlantic.
Wow.
That's my bold. Yeah, that's my bold take. I don't love the Leafs losing Marner and their defense core, and I like their goaltending. Like Stolarz has been really solid, and they got him on a good deal. But Tampa Bay as well. Like Hagel's already banged up, and they're kind of in the Florida Panthers category to me, where they're going to coast through the regular season and then turn it on when the playoffs come around. Florida just lost Barkov. I like Ottawa's center depth. I like their defense core. I like Jake Sanderson. I like Linus Ullmark. It's a long shot for sure, and I don't feel extremely confident in saying it, but that's why it's a hot take. I'll take Ottawa to win the Atlantic.
Yeah, you're not going to make, it's not a hot take by just predicting what everyone thinks. I haven't heard that one, so I like that one. Well done, Connor. It's that time of year, sports equinox around the corner where they're all at the same time. But looking at the lines, Connor, we can start with the CFL. The Bombers, -3.5 point favorites against Edmonton. And I just have, we saw what Zach Collaros did to Hamilton earlier this year. He did the same thing, threw all over them. The Bombers seem like they're getting ready. You like the Bombers -3.5 in Edmonton?
I do. I think they'll win, and I think they'll win by more than 3.5. The DeMario Houston thing concerns me just because of how good the Bombers secondary has been since he's come in, and Cam Allen has taken a step and all of those things. So him not being at practice these last couple of days does concern me. I think Cody Fajardo, he keeps games close. And while he's been Edmonton's starter, the close games, the games that he's kept them in, they've won a decent chunk of them. So I do think this game has a chance to be close, and I'm worried with DeMario Houston potentially being out in the secondary. But I still I love what I saw on the other side of the ball from the Bombers last week. The offense, I think they keep it rolling against statistically the worst defense in the CFL in Edmonton. So I'm going to take the Bombers -3.5.
Yeah, some big spreads this week. Saskatchewan favored by 10.5 against Toronto. Hamilton favored at home against Calgary, 2.5. And Montreal, massive favorites over Ottawa, -13.5. Davis Alexander back for his second straight game with Montreal. MLB postseason, it was supposed to be Mariners-Tigers this afternoon. That's been weather delayed. Mariners -135 favorites. And the Blue Jays, underdogs in the Yankees. I don't know if you saw this, Connor, but ton of people tuning into Sportsnet for the game. Hazel May putting out there the average audience for game one, 3.6 million on Sportsnet. Game two, 3.5 million. 9.5 million Canadians tuned in to the games at some point this weekend. And I had this Rob Silver on X putting out that ESPN averaged 4.6 million viewers for their wild card games. And when you look at, and that's big numbers for them, but when you look at Canada with a much smaller population than the US, getting only 1 million less average viewers for Blue Jays, tells you how pretty much everyone here is dialed in to the Blue Jays playoffs.
Yeah, and I'll be dialed in tonight as well. Shane Bieber on the mound, chance to close out the series. Super excited. I know you're not a Jays fan, so maybe you're the wrong person to ask this, Remo, but maybe I'll ask the chat if people are big Jays fans. How many times have you rewatched the Vladdy Grand Slam? I've rewatched that. I've rewatched that at least 100 times already. Like the bat flip, the crowd pop, the fact the ball went into the second deck, like he crushed it, no doubt. Inside fastball was all over it. And the crowd went nuts. I was talking to Ken Wiebe today, who will join Hustler, I believe, tomorrow. He had an absolute blast. He was at both of those games and the Vladdy Grand Slam and all of those things. So I've watched that a million times. I've watched Varland's strikeout on Aaron Judge a few times as well. It was Stanton, sorry, when the bases were loaded in game one. So many great moments already. It's only been 2 games, and hopefully they keep it rolling tonight in the Bronx.
Yeah, that Vladdy home run really bringing everyone to their feet. I'm looking forward to seeing if they can close it out tonight. Home underdog. Very interesting after going up 2-0. And we do have hockey games. And, 50 minutes here. The Blackhawks in Florida. The Florida will be raising their own banner. They're -278 on the money line. The Rangers, big favorites against Pittsburgh, -220. And the Kings and Avs, pretty close to a pick 'em. That's a nice finisher. For day one, the Kings -105, Avs -111. The futures, this is your final day here as the season kicks off. The hours are winding down. Any long shot picks? We never even went through the trophies. Man, Morrissey +4,000 for the Norris. The Selke, now that Barkov's out, is it anyone's game? The Anze Kopitar ceremonial Selke in his final season. I'm looking forward to seeing him in his last game, in Winnipeg with the WST ticket pack. We have Vezina, Hellebuyck, the favorite, plus 300. Art Ross, McDavid, the favorite. I wonder who could overtake that. You're kind of betting on an injury if McDavid's not going to win. McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov, the top three. Calder Trophy, Demidov, big favorite as well. Yeah. What about Michael Misa in San Jose as a long shot? I mean, guy could get hurt. I remember everyone thought Kovalchuk was going to be the runaway winner for the Calder when he was with Atlanta. He got hurt and Heatley took it over. So, injuries happen, part of the game. Scott Arniel talking about the compressed schedule. Everyone's affected. Any award takes here?
I like the thought process on the Anze Kopitar farewell tour. Here's a Selke on the way out. I don't hate that, actually. I really don't. The Norris for Morrissey, like the Norris right now just feels like they're just gonna rotate Makar and Hughes every single year. Like it feels like it's those guys' award to lose every single year, and that's reflected in the odds. I mean, those two guys are the two big favorites, but it's just going to be so tough for anyone else to knock those guys off. They play such a big role, get so many points, and yeah, hopefully Connor Hrabchak can win another Vezina, the fourth of his career. That would be pretty incredible, and would add to a long list of impressive accomplishments for him. But yeah, we finally have games tonight, Remo. I know you're fired up. The best game of the slate is probably the last one, LA, Colorado. I think that's the one I'm looking forward to the most, at least on opening night. It's not the best opening night slate. I'm much more looking forward to tomorrow night's slate when the Canadian teams are in action. But I guess I'll watch Florida, Chicago. Like, why is Chicago getting this draw? I have no clue. But anyways, hockey's back. I don't really care. Not going to complain.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, Rocket Richard, throw it in. Kyle Connor plus 5,000 to win the Rocket Richard. Why not? Why not? There's the cool bet lines for more picks. WST winners going Friday morning for NFL and CFL 110 tomorrow at 9 a.m. And yeah, you're going to be watching because it's 4 o'clock and there's going to be hockey on. Why wouldn't you watch it? What are you going to be doing? The baseball game is postponed. What are you going to put on? Probably nothing else. And tomorrow's the Canadian opener. That's what Elliot was calling it on 32 Thoughts. Today's the American. Tomorrow we have Montreal at Toronto. Seemingly, I think that's like checkmarked or lock buttoned as the season opener every year. Boston, Washington as well. Sportsnet will have Calgary at Edmonton, and then Kings and Golden Knights, and the Jets on TSN opening the season at 7 o'clock. But the big ceremony, big opening before, and I can't wait to be in the building for that one. Cineboy Downs, they're winding down racing season. Hustler and I are going neck and neck, head to head. He's got a slight lead on me, Connor. He sent me his picks. But I got my eye on a couple. I'm trying to take a big swing, taking some long shots. Like on race 2, I got horse 1 to place. Dress me up. That's 50-1. I'm just trying to beat him. Trying to hit that big trifecta here on race 5, 2, 4, 6. Sharp likeness, under budget, and get my drift. 4 and 6 our program selection AI smart pick. But I got the one longer shot to juice up the payout. Race 6. I am on 2, 4, 6 again. He knows we know. Rocking at the party, and better make that 2. And this one is real long on race 7, 3, 4, 7. Mini glazed donut. Spun out of control, and Olive's Candy. Really just trying to hit a big one and catch Hustler. Hustler's on race 7, 3, 8, 9. Mini glazed donut. That's what he said. And sneaky situation. He's on race 6. Horse 6 to win. Which horse is that? Better make that 2. I had that one in there. Race 2, a 2, 5, 9 trifecta. Moonshine Boogie, Business Tycoon. Are you not entertained? And he's also on race 1, horse 2. Horse 2 to win. Connor, you still there? Or did you leave? Oh, he dropped out. We lost Connor. Well, he's been doing some great work down at Canada Life Center following the Winnipeg Jets. They'll be back there tomorrow. They're practicing hockey for all before game one. And we hope to have more clarity, Connor, tomorrow on Jonathan Toews' status for game one of the regular season. Now, according to Jamie, sounds like he's going to be in, but we're also have your phone ready, Connor, because it could be Kyle Connor contract could come in at any moment.
Any moment. Yeah. I said before training camp preseason, the opening night or the night before opening night was kind of my panic point in terms of, okay, that's when it becomes real. That's when it becomes a concern. And as Jamie alluded to, and we've talked about, it doesn't seem like it's overly concerning that it's not done yet. We have a few days till the Winnipeg Jets opening night. I'm expecting it to get done. I'm also expecting Jonathan Toews to play on Thursday, as I alluded to off the top of the show and Jamie talked about as well. So super fired up to see all the Winnipeg Sports Talk Ticket Pack members at the game, 3:16 beforehand. I'll pop down before heading up to the press box for the game. And for the ceremony with the banners going up in the rafters. I can't wait, Remo.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We've done our fantasy drafts. We've made our predictions. It's time to watch the games and see how it all plays out. Tyson Ducharme's fans' first fan feedback is within the next hour, he's calling it. The Jets are watching as soon as we hit off. They'll announce
that would
the contract.
suck so much.
But, no, it would be great. It would be great. What do you mean?
Well, okay, yeah, it would be great, but for us, selfishly, Remo,
selfishly, yeah.
We need it tomorrow at 12:40.
Yes, that would be the ideal. That would be the ideal time. So if you're listening out there, Kyle Connor, don't sign it until tomorrow.
Just wait
at 12:40. Yeah, we'll wait. We'll wait. So that's it. If you've made it this far, you're enjoying the show, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button to our channel. It tells YouTube we're putting out some quality content, and maybe, just maybe, it'll recommend it to more people who might be interested. Shout out to all the sponsors. Without them, wouldn't be here right now talking to you. Winnipeg Jets, HSC Home Lottery, Rollies Transfer, St. Vital Dental, Canadian Club, Princess Auto, Chuds, Power Sports, Manitoba Battery, Fans First, Little Brown Jug, Boston Pizza, Royal Sports, Breezy Bend, Cineboy Downs, and of course, Cool Bet. So there it is. I'm going to send everyone over. There's Kenny and Rennie are live, and also the Huddle for some Bombers talk as well. So plenty of content still live right now here on YouTube and podcast later. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.